It can actually hurt you, right? Yeah. So not only does it ignore it, you get, merits in a sense, where they consider them spammy backlinks. And then you could get kind of dinged for it because they don't want people gaming the system, right? If they see that you're gaming them, you could be completely removed. So you got to be very careful that you hire the right agency that understands this stuff. Because I've seen dentists go out, hire an agency, they buy 10,000 spam backlinks, and then you got Adrian who has to come in and fix it and disavow these links to Google because they're terrible and they hurt your online authority.
AI isn't just changing dentistry, it's completely redefining it. Tune into Bite Size Podcast, the Dental AI and Tech Podcast, and stay ahead of the curve.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Bite Size Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about authority, dental authority. If your practice is not showing up as a recommendation in AI search, like with ChatGPT or Google Gemini, you're probably invisible to a lot of patients, and those patients are going somewhere else. So in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about how to improve dental authority. And I've brought on Evan Maass. Welcome, Evan.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, cool. Evan is I met him on another podcast and I was super, super impressed with his level of knowledge and capabilities and what he's built. He's built some systems online, directories and so forth that help practices be found by patients. We'll talk about that a little later on. I'll give you a little bit second to kind of talk about what you do. But Evan really understands what dental authority means in terms of search recommendations through AI and so forth. And so I wanted to bring him on to talk about this from the perspective, primarily from directories and the value of directories, because you've built directories and the directory that you've built is sick. Like I've tried to build directories and they're like infants compared to what you've built. So I'm super impressed with what you've done. So anyway, we've got Evan on here as an authority in terms of AI search recommendations, and I think we'll just dig in deep on the value of directories. So, Evan, thanks for coming. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in dental and how you landed here.
Oh, it's been a long road. Initially, I started in cybersecurity, blockchain technology. I was a developer my whole life. I did the closed captioning system for a lot of the NFL stadiums when I was a kid. I was like 11.
That's cool.
So moved from that. And then eventually I got into dental when I started a teledentistry company. It was a practice technically. And we did it across New York during COVID. Met my wife, married her. She's a dentist. And we decided that was the route we were going to go. And it worked really well. But what we noticed was dentists don't want to work after about 5 p.m. So the whole model just didn't function as intended. But we found the problem of patients struggling to find dentists and dentists struggling to find patients. And they both had the same problem on either end. And that's what led us into the directory world. I've been in marketing as well. So it all kind of just fell in line and ended up building out dentistoffices.com. And it's worked well since.
I love it. So you're up in the Northeast. Are you near Buffalo?
I'm in Buffalo.
You're obviously a Bills fan then, right?
Oh, of course.
What the hell happened with McDermott, dude? What is going on? I love that guy.
No idea what they're thinking. Nobody's happy about it. He's been an absolute, he's an amazing coach. Been an amazing coach. We've gotten to the playoffs almost every season. Sure, we didn't quite make it, but I don't know what they're doing. I think they got upset.
Dude, I'm a huge Josh Allen fan, and I love McDermott. It's one play. It was one play. That play where the interception happened and when they rolled over and they favored. Who were they playing? The Broncos?
Yeah, that was the Broncos.
I can't remember. They were playing the Broncos. If that had been called the other way, McDermott would still be there. The Bills would have probably been in the Super Bowl.
Fight him the next day.
Bummer.
Terrible.
I'm sorry,
but we'll recover. I'm hoping they bring him back still. We're hoping that it's not permanent. But
he's such a good dude. Great coach. All right. Enough football. All right. So we're talking about this word. We're talking about this word authority. Okay. And I want to really be clear to the audience of what we mean, what you and I mean when we talk about authority. So try and help us understand what this word authority means in terms of search results, etc.
So authority, just like, you might have an authority on social media, somebody who is, well educated in a topic or has a decent background in that, it builds trust from the outside world, right? The viewers, the users, they have more trust for this person. The same thing applies digitally with your online presence. You need to build trust, but it's not always in the eyes of the people. It's in the eyes of the crawlers, which are what power the search engines. It's in the eyes of the bots that power these AIs, where they need to know that you're visible. And that's what authority comes down to, is making sure that you're seen and you're seen as frequently as possible. And as somebody or as a company that has respect and authenticity.
Okay, so I think this is, you've described it extremely well, as far as I understand it as well. So when I've used this word authority with doctors, they immediately think, well, I am the authority. I've been practicing for 20 years. I have the largest practice in my area. My patients trust me. I've got a great team. And so that authority relates to kind of like a human authority almost. I don't know how to describe it, but what you're talking about is an AI trying to recognize who's the authority. And because an AI doesn't have eyeballs yet, and it can't walk into your practice and meet you and shake your hand, it has to look at different things online to predict whether or not that person is the dental authority in their community.
Absolutely.
Have I described that correctly?
Yeah.
So it's like a different game.
Yeah, but there's different types of authority too. Like you mentioned, they might be an authority in dentistry, right? Where they're considered, even by these systems and these bots and these AIs, they're considered an authority to other dentists, but they might not be considered an authority on the patient-facing side, right? So the authority does vary by type, business to business, business to consumer, or even just as an opinion leader. And all of that comes into play.
Okay, cool. So when a dentist is trying to establish authority, because authority is like, if we're to use one, like Google has this principle, the EEAT principle, or expertise. What was the other E? Expertise. Oh my gosh, I forgot the second.
I know. Trust.
It's like,
I don't know them in order.
Trust. Okay, it's expertise, experience. That's what it. Expertise, experience, authority, and trustworthiness. That's Google's principle that they've told SEO agencies like you and me and everybody else. Hey, this is how if you want to feed the engine, so to speak, you need to give us information about your client that relates to EEAT, experience.
No, you did it backwards.
I just had it. Experience. Rewind. I can't even. Anyway.
Now I want to Google it so we have it right. Hold on.
Experience, expertise. Oh, God,
experience, expertise, authoritiveness,
authority, and trustworthiness. All right, everybody listening, we know what we're talking about. We just forgot the second E. Experience, authority, trustworthiness, and
you still got
expertise. Expertise is a tough one to remember. Anyway, okay, so there's these four kind of like things that they've said, hey, this is what we're looking at in order to start recommending a practice or rank them higher in search or whatever it might be. So when you talk about a doctor trying to build towards that EEAT principle, what do they do? What do you got to do? Like, what's the thing you have to do? What influences that whole principle?
There's no shortcut is one thing I will say. Now there's little tricks you can do, right? Like backlinks is one of them. Backlink is simple in its most simple form is another website that links to you. Okay. Links to your website or your social media, even at this point. All of that increases your visibility. So that's a huge thing is backlinks, but they no longer work like they used to. You used to just be able to buy backlinks and, oh, look, you're visible everywhere. Not anymore. Now you need to have backlinks that actually get traffic to your website. And that gives signals back to Google, back to these bots that say, okay, this person actually gets traffic and they're linked to from a trustworthy source. A backlink from, some random directory that has no eyes on it, like SEO directory 101.eu, that doesn't matter like it would if you were linked from whitehouse.gov. Okay. So that's a big play in authority.
So I've, backlinking has been talk in the SEO industry for 20 years. And I've been in this long enough that I've seen Google make, basically flip a switch and just shut off all the backlinks from like sites that are kind of what we call link farming sites. So a lot of businesses out there trying to game the SEO system would just create thousands and thousands of websites and then sell the opportunity for a doctor to create an article on that website, creating a backlink. But what you're saying is that if the site where the backlink is coming from isn't getting traffic on its own and isn't relatable or relevant or doesn't have its own trustworthiness, Google just kind of ignores that stuff now? Is that
it can actually hurt you, right? Yeah. So not only does it ignore it, you get, merits in a sense, where they consider them spammy backlinks. And then you could get kind of dinged for it because they don't want people gaming the system, right? If they see that you're gaming them, you could be completely removed. So you got to be very careful that you hire the right agency that understands this stuff, because I've seen dentists go out, hire an agency, they buy 10,000 spam backlinks, and then you got Adrian who has to come in and fix it and disavow all these links to Google because they're terrible and they hurt your online authority. So that's just.
There's been a few times, and you probably could name a date on some of this stuff, but I do remember when Google does an update. So they'll do updates to their search ranking algorithm. They'll find these link farming things and they'll just go, oh, all the links from this website, which is total bullshit, are gone. And they just flip a switch and all those links just become dead or broken or whatever. And I've seen companies, practices come to us and they say, I was ranking crazy good last year and then everything just stopped. And you'll go back in and you'll look at their website and you'll look at those links and you go, oh yeah, it's because you had 500 crappy backlinks and Google recognized it and just flipped the switch and turned it off.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of
negative. They're trying. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a lot of negative attacks people do with that too. And it might be a little out of scope for this discussion, but it's happened to us where we get hit with my entire directory. They do intentionally spammy backlinks that are irrelevant, architectural companies, and it completely skews you in the eyes of the search engines, and you end up losing ranking very quickly.
So you're talking about people spamming your directory with crappy links that they're trying to get for some other reason. And then Google recognizes that somebody's linking to you that's spammy and you get affected.
Yep.
Okay.
You get negatively affected, especially if they're like gaming sites or adult oriented. It can really, really hurt you in the eyes of the search. But there's a lot more than just backlinks when it comes to authority, right? And beyond that, it could be as simple as being listed in Amazon. One thing that I've always loved was the ability to publish an ebook, right? You go and publish an ebook under your name, you link and you word things the right way. That increases authority too. So it's not quite a backlink.
Oh, that's a good thing. So you get a link from Amazon, which is a super high authority site. Okay.
Yeah. You get a link.
All right. I'm doing that. That's my next thing. I'm going to.
You also want to publish an app in the App Store.
Where?
In the App Store. If you ever get an app out.
Oh, yeah.
That link is worth a lot.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
You're giving me some ideas here, man. I might need to hire you to help me out with some of this stuff.
I got a couple of them up there. There's still a few shaking around.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about. So I've heard some different opinions on backlinks over the last year or two. Okay. I want you to try and clarify this as much as I can. So because Google is making a shift, or currently right now, they're making a shift to AI search. I mean, it's happening as we're speaking. Sometime this year, probably this year, they're going to move to full AI mode. So it's not going to be the typical search engine results page that you usually get. You're just going to be working directly with Gemini when you go ask Google
It's
questions.
already, the organic traffic is already falling
It's
on
dropping.
like search terms.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and one of the things, I've heard a lot of stuff about this. You tell me what your thoughts are, but there's a lot of chatter online saying that inbound links are being, even healthy ones, are just simply devalued. They're not as valuable as they used to be in kind of an SEO strategy. What are
That's
your
true.
thoughts about that?
It's true. And it's because it's moving towards UGC, user generated content, right? That's what's becoming more valuable to AI. Now, granted, backlinks are still extremely important because it gives you that visibility, but the AI bots don't track the signals from it like the browser crawlers do. Where, yes, in organic search, and I believe in Gemini, it's still going to be important. But when it comes to other models like ChatGPT or Grok, whatever you want to be listed in, they don't get those same signals that Google does. So it becomes less important.
Why is that? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? They don't get the same signals. Help me understand that.
So they aren't Google. Google has a huge reach. So when they see the traffic going everywhere because they're in the middle of everything. They own DoubleClick. They have tracking cookies all over.
Got it.
AI people, or not the AI people, that's not the best way to word it, but the AI operators that operate these crawlers, the term I keep using is basically a bot. It's a program that reaches out, it grabs data, the code behind your web pages, and it reads it and parses it, right? So that's all they're getting. So they now have to come up with their own trust signals because they don't have all of that intermingling of data that Google does. So they are relying more on user posted content versus backlinks themselves.
As a validation or an authority signal for your practice.
Yes. Yep. So
give me an
that's
example of some. Go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead. I was going to ask the same question. You're already answering it.
Yeah. So that would be considered anything from reviews in your Google business profile. Reddit is huge. Reddit is responsible for about 80% of the authority that AI is looking for. It loves Reddit because not only is it user posted, it's user backed, and there's upvotes and downvotes. Is why it values Reddit so highly, because it can also see what the general population's opinion is of something.
Got it.
So that's user generated content. It could even be, posts that updates to Google business profiles considered UGC to some extent, but it's just not as important because it can all be adjusted by the owner. They want to find anything that is posted non-biased by the user, the consumer, or the patient.
So obviously you said reviews. That's obviously user generated content. Reddit, Quora, some of these like huge like forum type things.
Yeah.
Social media.
Social media is
posting?
Social media is playing a role now. It's still a little bit of a black box. And what I mean by that is we don't know everything. It's impossible. Anybody who comes in and says they have the code cracked, nobody has the code cracked. We have best practices and we all have our own tricks and tactics and ways of giving into this algorithm, but there's still things that nobody knows. One of them is we do know that social media, and one thing we've seen is when people post and they tag back to a business, it is being indexed, especially by Google. We don't know how much ChatGPT does it, but we do know that it is taken into account. And the more posts and followers that are on an account that is properly linked and related to the online service, it gives it better authority. So yes, social does play a role now.
I was talking to Anissa Holmes. She's kind of a gangster when it comes to social media. She's a doctor and she also owns Digital Floss, the dental marketing company. And I actually did a podcast with her a few weeks ago. And she heavily leans in on social media as kind of a strategy for, finding new patients. And when Google announced that they were going to start indexing social media content, which means that they're now looking at that content in terms of what we're talking about, UGC content, to help affect their rankings, she told me a lot of her clients went straight to the top of the search engines and also recommendations. And it's because her product was so heavily social media focused that, and prior to being indexed, social media is just kind of like a standalone kind of like way in which to like build, relationships and kind of like, it's more of a social proof statement. But as soon as
Yeah.
it got indexed and now it starts affecting the rankings and recommendations in AI search, it just took off for it. And I saw a lot of that with our own clients, the ones that are doing social media. So
Yep.
I know that there's some effect, definitely
Oh,
some effect with social media.
yeah.
How
It's a
much, I don't
huge.
know, but it does have an effect.
I'll say based on what we've seen, it's definitely an effect. I've seen better results with certain AI models, specifically ChatGPT, when it comes to Reddit. I've seen better results with search engines when it comes to social media as of recently, because, and this is right, it has a huge impact when you start getting those shares and those likes and those comments, and they're positive comments, because the bots even look at, or the crawlers, like I keep saying, look at the context of what's being said. If
Right.
you have people commenting that you're a scam and you stole money, it understands that now. All of this
Right.
data parsed through AI. And people need to understand that it's not even about keywords anymore. Like, people hear SEO and they think keywords. It's about
Yeah.
intent. Okay. It's about engines understand intent. They understand what the user's posting and that user generated content, and they understand the context it's used in. So all of that plays a role, and that's part of that black box that we don't know exactly what, does what,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
know practices to follow, and the results are really good as a result.
Yeah. So when did you launch dentistoffices.com, the directory? How long ago was it?
Dentist offices launched about 2.5 years ago.
Was when you decided to do this, I mean, that's super early on. This is right after ChatGPT launches. So we didn't have really any understanding about what was going to happen with search and people moving to use AI search. Um, what was your initial like goal? Like, were you just trying to get the director to rank in general search engines and then direct the traffic to your clients? Or like why did you decide on a directory, I guess is my question.
So the reason I decided on a directory was noticing how many patients couldn't find dentists that took their insurance, right? So then I said, well, what's the answer to that? And I go, well, we need to have millions and millions of pages of content that is relevant. And how do we do that? Well, we need to have a directory. And I go, oh, surprising. 10 years ago, I wrote a crawler that would be perfect for this. So I kind of had all the pieces already. The crawler I developed myself, and I had it sitting there. So I figured might as well use it and get that content. And the goal wasn't necessarily to make it a directory, right? Because yes, it is a directory, but the goal was to build something that's an authority in the space. And the whole point of dentistoffices.com is that it is an authority in and of itself. We have our AGD PACE approval. Make sure that that's plastered on there. That gives us authority. We get links from the AGD. That then gives additional authority. We have dentists who have authority that speak for us. That gives us authority, right? And that's that word we keep using, because that was the whole goal. It wasn't to rank in search. I mean, yeah, we want organic traffic and we want to give that back to the dentists, and we wanted to level the playing field, because search engines have a monopoly on, who ranks where. And if the search engines don't like you, no patients for you. But then when that switched over to AI, which I already saw coming, I knew it was going to be more about authority, making sure we had tools. It's why we put out our dental demographics tool, right? It's free. People go, why do you keep giving all this stuff away for free? For the traffic. We want traffic.
Got it.
We want authority. We want people to use what we offer, because that signals back to Gemini and Google that people actually use us, and it keeps building from there.
So thank you. Was part of the intent of building the directory to provide an opportunity to create an inbound link for your clients? You see what I'm saying?
It wasn't, because I'm not an agency, and I've never been an agency. Well, okay, I had an agency, but that was gone I exited that year before I built this. So it had nothing to do. I kind of fell in a little bit to doing some one-on-one marketing, but I have backed out of that because it's very, very hard to scale, as you know. And I have so much on my plate with dentistoffices.com. I did not build it out for that reason. However, that's a great thing to do if you know, backlinking your clients from a directory is huge.
Yeah. I mean, one of the main kind of like standard practices in an SEO service, when a doctor buys our SEO service or an SEO service from another agency, is to go out and make sure they got a shit ton of directory links, because it's the directories, if they're high authority, like Healthgrades or WebMD or Vitals or whatever it might be, that listing for the doctor, the name of the doctor, practice, phone number, email, website, services, that kind of stuff, creates that backlink. And so we would go out and we would make sure, I mean, we still do this, but we would make sure that we get the practices listed in all these directories to create all those inbound links. So my question was related to, you know, was that part of the intent? And I appreciate your response, which is, no, you weren't building an SEO strategy. It wasn't, you weren't coming to market to provide marketing companies like us to come to you to create a backlink. You were more focused on what's the right way to build authority so I can get my directory to rank in and of itself in search and become a solution for finding new patients.
That's it. That's
Did I
it.
explain that correctly?
Yeah, you explained it perfectly, because most of our traffic is coming from, we go after what's called long tail keywords, or, you know, intent-based search, where a lot of patients, they'll say dentists in New York that take Medicaid, or dentists in New York that take Guardian insurance. Very few. We already have some really big, I don't even want to call them directories, but like lead gen platforms out there. I won't name them, but they go after the keywords that the doctor's going after. So that's a problem too, because some of these directories actually cannibalize your own keywords. So if somebody's looking how to schedule with Dr. Smith and that company owns that keyword, they now get all your traffic. So that's a problem that exists. But our whole purpose was to rank for those keywords, those long tail insurance or procedure based keywords, like dentists near me that offer dental implants, right? That's what we wanted to go after. And then, yeah, it's a solution for patients who go, you know what, who do I trust? And we wanted to offer our own source of UGC. So that's why we allow comments and reviews on our own, just like, you know, Yelp, right? I don't even know if I want to compare it to Yelp, because they're a little.
Please don't. Everybody freaking hates Yelp. So
yeah, let's let's not do that one. But yeah, the point is, it's allowing patients to leave, you know, accurate feedback, and that's more UGC that is helpful for the dentist, right? And we're dentist owned, short of me. It's, you know, my wife and our board's made up of dentists, and our goal is to do what's best for the practices. We want to make sure that we offer them something that benefits them.
So I have a frustration. I have a frustration with you and your freaking directory. Let me tell you why. This is not going to come off as a super heavy frustration, but here's my problem. Okay. So we're hired to help a dental practice rank and search. Okay. Whether that's maps or whatever. Okay. So we do all this work to help them rank, and they start increasing in ranking. And then a patient goes online and they search whatever keyword it is. They hit go, and you see Healthgrades, Yelp, WebMD, Vitals, 5 other directory companies, and then the practice's website. Yep. So what's happening is the doctor, because they're a small practice, right? They don't have the budget of Healthgrades. Healthgrades at some point, I'm guessing here, had 300 like SEO monkeys banging away at their keyboards, creating authority for Healthgrades so that they ranked at the top of the list. And the only way a doctor can get up there is to go pay Healthgrades to get into their directory. Okay. Yeah. So I always had a super frustrating experience, because there's no real way to compete in search against a company that's a $500 million company. You can't get that simple dental practice to kind of outrank Healthgrades, right? Now, Healthgrades has kind of fallen off the map, it seems like, over the last few years. But you understand my predicament. So my question is this. Do you see, has there been a shift in the way that AI, and I don't know the answer to this, so I'm honestly asking because I have no clue, but have you seen a shift in the way that the AI search engines, Gemini or ChatGPT, let's just talk about those, reference directories over a dental practice specifically? When it's a patient search looking for a dentist, are they looking into that a little bit more closely? Are they evaluating the directories and saying, well, this patient's actually looking for a local dentist, I'm going to give them the local dentist's website or their phone number rather than giving them 10 freaking directories to go look through? Are you seeing any shift in that process or that result?
Of course, right? So that's exactly a lot of AIs, like specifically ChatGPT, they use something called SERP API. SERP API is an API that allows them to run searches on Google. So what's going to happen is these AIs then run a search and it looks at the top results, and then it does its thinking, and then it spits back information. So when it's saying, like, when somebody does best dentists near me, that's going to say, oh, here are 3 dentists that show up near you. And it does filter through and only gives the dentist, doesn't give the directories. But where it does directories is when it's, hey, are there any dentists in my area that offer implants? Who does implants? Right? Because my dentist doesn't. That's where it says, oh, well, dentistoffices.com says this one, and this one do. Right. That's where it does. Now, granted, they fall out of our funnel. So I don't love when that happens. But it, they do reference us, and we end up getting quite a bit of traffic from the AIs.
So I appreciate that. You understand the frustration from my perspective, trying to get the practice to rank and not saying, hey, go sign up for every freaking $300 service from Healthgrades and ZocDoc and Yelp, and it just ends up costing thousands of dollars to get into all those directories and be kind of listed at the top of the list, right? One thing I have noticed, shifting a little bit, still talking about directories, one thing I have noticed that is just stark and obvious is that regardless of how the search engines, AI search engines, are giving value and weight to an inbound link from a directory, okay? So we talked about how that might have been devalued a little bit, but they're still super valuable. One of the things I've noticed is that literally on every single search that I do, when I go and look at the sources of where the AI is going to grab its information, they are referencing hyper local directories that are so small. They're the Buffalo, New York festival directory, right?
Yep.
Tons of them, right? So, I mean, I did the search. Sorry?
You just gave me
I just gave you an idea? Yeah. Sweet. We might need to swap some ideas after this call. So I was in the Bahamas at a speaking event just a few weeks ago. And then I was in San Antonio doing a speaking event. Both times I did this presentation on AI SEO. And prior to the presentation, I went in and did a bunch of searches on ChatGPT and Google Gemini, and I was looking to see which directories it was recommending. And it is significant that they're not recommending, say, the big directories like Healthgrades. They're going to these super hyper local directories. It was never part of the search engine before.
Yep.
So I guess why
they have authority. Why would they have local authority?
Local authority, not national authority, local authority, right?
Yep.
So how valuable? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's exactly what it is. And there's 2 different types, and there's more than 2. But yeah, that localized authority is huge. And it's something we don't have as much of. We have more of a national authority, and we have to get extremely localized in our intent in order to get any of that local authority. So
how would you do that? How would you do that with your directory? How would you get the local authority so that dentist offices could be kind of playing in the hyper local directory game? What would you do?
So the way, the idea that I just had was actually branching off into subdirectories.
Okay.
But it's the way we gain local authority is actually by collaboration with our partners in each area, right? So when an AI or a crawler sees that a lot of localized things are referring to something, you gain more authority in that area. So if we work with a partner who has a website, they use our scheduling widgets. Our scheduling widgets
Got it.
link us and give an authority from that local area.
Got it.
And we
Okay.
also make sure that, our landing pages are extremely location specific. But if they do value, like we have Buffalo Business First, which is one near us. That ranks above everything else because it's just Buffalo and
Yeah.
it's in the name and it has that local authority. So they'll go to Buffalo Business First before us sometimes, for sure.
What are some other ways that a doctor can create local authority outside of being listed in like hyperlocal directories? What do you recommend?
Yeah. Oh man. So the biggest thing that I've always recommended is go and do a charity event. Host a charity event at
Mm.
your office, get it picked up organically by the news media. Local news stations have some of the highest local
Yeah.
authority ever. Now, if you're paying for ads there, doesn't count. It has to be linked as sponsored. And as soon as these crawlers see that it's sponsored content, they go, we don't care. Right. It
Yeah.
still plays a role, but it's not as important as organic. So when you're talking with your traditional ads people at the TV stations, you say, I'll do your ads, but I need an organic piece for an event I'm hosting or this charity thing. You also want to get listed in your alumni directories for your local dental schools, right? That
Got
helps
it.
a lot. And yes, it's another directory, but it does give that local authority. Mentions on social media, right? That's another one. Having localized news stations, localized, like even a local zoo, right? They
Mm.
usually have a lot of traffic and authority. When they mention a business or a social media profile, it contributes to your local authority. So we always look
Okay.
for ways of doing that.
So an example of we got started in social media when we started our company 15 years ago. And one of the things that we did, not knowing anything about where this whole AI stuff was going to go, but one of the things we would do is we would create these campaigns, and they were like the summer splash party, or sponsor a 5K race, or whatever it might be. And we would create all these materials. We would send them to practice, and they could have all the assets to kind of like do kind of like a charity or a philanthropic type community event.
Yeah.
So what you're saying, the way to do this, from what you're saying, would be to look in your local area for an organization or an event that somehow aligns with a practice. So for example, it might be like battered women's shelter, or it could be a low income medical office, or
Mhm.
practice, or something like that, or a state sponsored healthcare facility. And you would reach out.
Lee homes are a good one too.
Oh, perfect. So
Yeah.
you would sponsor something. You could come up with an idea like, we'd like to sponsor an event that you're doing. And in doing so, we want a piece of content, an article or something like that, published in that organization, that event's website, or on a news channel or something like that, with a link back to our practice. That's
Mhm.
basically what we're talking about, right?
Yep, that's it.
That's it.
That as well as, like, for example, like a give back day, right, is a big one where you just do free dental care for the day. That event is gonna get picked up and people are going to do articles on it. You can usually just reach out to, like, every city has their own. They're just these little newsletters that are
Mhm.
like, just little the B or whatever it might be, that they have, very small viewership, local in that area. Hey, we have this event coming up. Will you do some content on it? Oh, absolutely. And then they just do a free editorial, right? They'll do that all
Yeah,
the time.
they're always looking for stuff too. Like, these news
Mhm.
outlets are always looking for great community ideas, concepts, events. It's
Yeah.
awkward sometimes for a dental practice to promote themselves in this way, because sometimes when I've talked to doctors, like, I don't really want to. It's not that they don't want to do the work. I mean, almost all doctors are doing something that's cool. Like, they're
Oh,
always
yeah.
giving away services, doing free work, involved here or there. But like, putting themselves in a position where they're asking for some kind of attention, so to speak, is always kind of an awkward kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
if I were calling, say I'm a dentist, okay, let's just role play this because I'd love to give an idea, some language. If I were a dentist and you are, and I'm going to do let's just say a 5K. There's a 5K happening. It's a city-sponsored 5K or something like that. There's an organization working with the city to this 5K, and they're going to raise money for blah, blah, blah. I have an opportunity where I can maybe sponsor the event by giving some money. I might have an opportunity where I could like co-promote the event and encourage people to come to the event. But I want to call you. Let's say that you're the person running this program. If I call you, what do I say? How does that conversation go? What am I asking for?
Yeah, it's as easy as you don't even usually need to really ask for anything. You don't really come in asking. You come in offering. Hey, is there anything
Okay.
I can do to assist with this event? Is there any room for sponsorship? If you have sponsorship opportunities available, I'd love to see what you have. I'd be happy to participate in any way I can. So if there's any opportunity, please let me know. A quick email is usually all it takes. And they'll usually come back stating, they do have some type of sponsorship option. And if not, they might just respond back saying, what do you have in mind?
Yeah.
And then all you have to say is, it'd be really helpful if you guys mention this on the site. And it's also easier for dentists if they have one of their staff members or their agency do this, right? This is
Right,
if they
right.
have a marketing agency, that's
Yeah.
the responsibility of the agency.
To make the
So,
call.
yeah, but it's the dentist's responsibility to identify the opportunities, and it's the
Right.
marketer's responsibility to educate them to keep an eye out for those opportunities.
Got it. Great, dude. I'll tell you, man, if people did this, if doctors did this and they did an event every quarter, it would be so huge for SEO.
Oh, yeah.
So freaking huge.
Yeah.
Like you can't pay a marketing company enough money to like outvalue just the extra little effort of like finding these opportunities and doing like you can't, like, it's so valuable, so valuable.
Yep. And elderly
And they're
home.
already doing it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they are. The elderly home that I mentioned, they always have like these events for their residents, and they always accept sponsorships, and it's like $50. Sometimes it's like 200. It's almost nothing. And they'll put your name up on a table and they'll mention you on the website, but that mention is what
Is the value.
Yeah. And
It's not just showing up. Sorry.
They usually don't mark as sponsored either. That's like the bigger media outlets that'll mention sponsored. When it's smaller events, they usually don't say this person paid money to be here. It's usually just a mention. So
I think the key to all this though is that what we're looking for, the end result is we're looking for a link in an article or somewhere on the website or on the blog post of the place where you did the event or whatever it is, back to your practice. If you don't get that, then you don't get the SEO value. You got to get the link. There has to be something digitally printed online or published online, not printed, and linking back to you.
We're actually seeing too, the links are becoming slightly less relevant. I know backlinks are huge and always get a backlink, but even the name, right? Now
just mentioning the name.
Yes, the names now have authority. So if you have a dentist whose name is mentioned and it's mentioned time and time again, that name has an authority and it gets linked to locations. These crawlers understand now who's who and what's what. So yeah, even having a name there, but then that brings us into the talk about NAP consistency, which is the name, address, phone number consistency, and making sure that if you're using your name as a doctor, like let's say you're John Smith DDS, use John Smith DDS or use Dr. John Smith, or make sure you're using Dr. Smith. Just use the same name everywhere, so that it gets correlated together.
Yeah, so the AIs can say, oh, it's mentioned. They're mentioned here. They're mentioned here. They're mentioned here. They're mentioned here. Oh, wait, what's this? It's some funky name. There's some, it's the same practice, but it's like mentioned different. They can't make the connection.
Yeah,
so they don't. Okay, right.
Throws it out.
Okay. In our prep call, a few weeks back. One of the things that you talked about is that in doing marketing now, okay, digital marketing now, there's nothing that really sits in isolation, meaning social media is not isolated as its own kind of like thing, right? Or SEO is not isolated as kind of its own strategy, or getting reviews isn't isolated in its own strategy. We used to sell our services here at My Social Practice as kind of isolated services. Somebody could come to us and says, I want help with social media. We would sell them a social media package, right? And they may not be doing anything else. They're just doing social media. We don't do that anymore. Tell me why that doesn't work. The isolated kind of like strategy doesn't work.
It's because it all meshes together. And I've been explaining this for years on social media, that it's no longer, like you said, it's not about one thing. SEO, people will say, oh, well, here's a website in SEO, but that's all you're getting is SEO. It doesn't work. You can't have that because of authority. Everything needs to link together. Your social, if you're using, going after a certain intent, your social content needs to align with your organic content, which needs to align with your long form content, which needs to align with the videos you put out, right? If you're framing yourself as an implant dentist and you're putting out a bunch of family dental videos, it's not going to align. So it's pretty much full stack or nothing at this point. The only thing that can kind of be isolated is full arch. And even then it's because it's so ad heavy, nobody really goes organic with it. But if you're going after organic at all, the ads have to align with the organic, right? And then the organic with the social. And part of that is because your website now is going to be your landing page for your ads. So if the person who manages your ads doesn't do your website, now you end up with
it's all messy. Yeah. So just describe really quickly the difference when you say organic versus paid, just for our audience to understand where those lines are drawn. Answer that question, and then following up on that, how paid advertising is or is not influencing organic. Okay, so explain them, and then help me understand that.
So organic is what we consider earned, right? So organic is anything that you earn, and it's an asset that you have forever. Okay, so if you earn organic authority, meaning it's authority that was, you were mentioned for events that you were doing, you have built SEO for your practice, and now you're ranking and AI and all of that, that's an asset that you own. The most valuable asset that your company can own is your organic brand presence. Now, paid is a whole different story. It's very, very valuable. It's very needed because if you're seeing a positive return, it doesn't matter if it's earned or not. But ads you're paying for each lead, each click, each patient, whatever it might be. And there's about 1 million different ad strategies too on top of it.
Right.
It does influence your organic.
It does? I thought you were going to say it doesn't.
Oh, it does. It definitely does.
How?
And so it depends on how it's being done. Now, if you have your landing pages for your ads on a separate domain, it kind of isolates it. But the reason that ads do affect your organic is because it's still sending traffic to your website.
It's traffic. It's traffic. Gotcha.
Yeah. And that traffic, the way that it, the way that traffic goes, are they bouncing quick? Are they going to other parts of your website? Those are signals that Chrome now takes, that these tracking cookies utilize to say, oh, this person is still browsing the site. And then on top of that, those ads increase user-generated content because now your ads are indirectly influencing your amount of business. The amount of business you get, the amount of new patients you have, then further boost you organically. So without paid, you're going to struggle more on the organic side. And,
got it.
But without organic, you're going to struggle with paid.
Okay. So when somebody sets up a marketing agency sets up a paid advertising campaign, let's say you're the doctor or your wife, let's say set up a paid advertising campaign for your wife's practice. And I build all these landing pages and I'm driving all the traffic to these landing pages, not your website. what you're saying is that the traffic that you drive to those landing pages, the amount of time that those people spend on there, whether they interact in any way, click on a button, whatever it might be, that activity is being observed by the AI search engines. And because it's a ranking factor, right? And because they're not on your website, the activity is happening somewhere else. There's little to no value of that activity because it's the wrong domain. So so you would say all of your landing pages should be on your website. abcdental.com, or go ahead.
I wouldn't even say that. I prefer it that way, but there's some disagreement here because it could also hurt you, right? If you are generating ads that are a little less relevant or a little risky, like let's say you're running a full arch advertising campaign and you don't want to be known as a full arch dentist, directing that traffic to your site may not be the best, right? So there's different factors that come into play when determining if it's there or not.
Or I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just cut you off. Or if your ad is like kind of spivey and kind of like not, it's kind of like a little slippery, and people click on it and then bounce off. So now you have a high bounce rate, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So if your ad isn't, okay. But I do. Is there any other aspect of paid advertising other than search traffic being a way to influence AI? Is there anything else that paid advertising or how paid advertising influences organic that you can think of?
Yeah, just short of just, like I said, more business means more user-generated content. You can also use paid advertising to boost user-generated content in your favor by getting more reviews. You can advertise. So there are ways of using paid ads to boost it, but by default, it doesn't always necessarily have an impact.
All right. So an example would be, let's say I post something on social. Well, okay, let's use our 5K example. Okay. So we're going to work with a local health facility to sponsor a 5K event. So we create some posts. We're going to push these out to, say, Instagram Reels, okay, or Facebook or whatever, or TikTok or whatnot. We post these and we put a little bit of an ad budget behind it to push it out to our community so more people see it. And then you get more people commenting on that post. You're saying that user-generated content would be beneficial.
So once you boost a post on social, it gets marked as sponsored, unfortunately.
Okay.
Quite used directly that way, but where it does help is where you get what's called social proof. To have a user converted to a patient or a client of any kind, you need three main things. You need your proof of work, you need your social proof, and you need your conversion funnel. Okay? Those three things are three pillars of converting somebody to a paying customer or patient.
Right.
So when you're putting an ad budget behind your social media posts, that gives more authority because when people see it, right, you now have more followers coming in from that paid post. And then organic stuff will get more as a result from those paid. And then once you have that organic taken off of that will help you more directly. So yet again, everything.
It's indirect. But it's indirect. It's not like if I sponsor a post, I push it out, I put some money behind it, and I get a lot of comments, those comments may be overlooked by the AI search engine as having been sponsored content. But if I get more followers or more shares, then indirectly I build my social media following, and then future posts I'm able to get more UGC. Is that exactly? Am I following you on that?
Yep. Okay. And I'm sure there's still a role played on the comments of users on paid posts. It's just considered less. Based on
it's taken into consideration on the value of it.
Yeah, we don't know the exact value that they weight everything with, but we just know the best practices, and running those ads is never a bad idea. But there's different strategies, right? So there's some people who, you don't really need to run social ads because it's not a social heavy, strategy in use. But at this time, it's worth it for everybody. But I always tell people this, and I don't know if you'll agree or disagree. It is up to the dentist to manage their social media, or you need somebody like Digital Floss or like you guys that are going in and getting real content because
Yeah.
you cannot do these pre-canned nonsense posts. It
They don't get
does
any,
not.
doesn't
Yeah.
work. Doesn't
You're
work.
going to have one like forever, and they're going to tell you it's about volume. You need 7 posts a week. No, you don't. If you have one good post a week that gets traction, it's worth infinitely more than 10 garbage posts.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it all needs to
And
work
it should,
together.
absolutely. No, there's no question that there has to be some education in the industry about shit social media content and the effort that, I mean, doctors don't have time, dental teams don't have time to do this. Some of them do, very, very few. And to stay consistent is really difficult. So reframing this to, hey, you don't have to post 5 times a week, just post one, do a video. I highlight video way over photography. Do a video, make it interesting and fun, where you're not just selling services, you're really introducing your practice to the community. And if you can get some type of interaction on that, it's going to be super, super, super valuable. So
And I want to
I
bring
totally
this back.
agree with you.
Good. And I want to bring this back to authority a little bit, because there's a trick that you can do on social media that every dentist should be doing. It works well, and very few do this. But let's say you have you want to buy lunch for your staff. Nice deductible business expense to lunch. Go get a pizza from a local pizza shop. Take a picture of your staff eating the pizza. Tag the pizza shop on social media. Guess what? Usually
They'll tag you back.
Show. And now you're reaching their following, and
Yep.
you get free advertisement just by giving them a free ad. And people
Yep.
love seeing your team. Your team photos are going to do great, right? Because it helps personalize you as an office. And I'm not a fan of like the goofy, fancy content personally. It works, but I'm more on the serious side, and I think that works really well too. But like the pizza stuff, tagging stuff, bring the team to the zoo and tag the zoo, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I watched this for years. Pre-COVID, for like 8 or 9 years, we watched this, and content that's published to social media, that's stock photography, gets literally no engagement. But if you take a photo of your team or a photo of a patient with a team member, it gets dramatically higher type of engagement. So it just forces the practice to have to be involved at some level. It doesn't make sense to just go pay an agency to post a bunch of junk. It's wasted money, frankly. So you really have to be involved. You just have to do it. So,
and that's why there's so many different choices for marketers too. Like everybody has their own strategy. Like Gary Bird, he has with SMC, they do amazing, especially on the ad side. They're very, very good at
very
that
good. Yep.
ad side. And then you have people like Anissa and Digital Floss that are like killing it on the social side. And everybody does everything at this point. And you, who just kind of, you bring it all together. So it's nice seeing these different segments forming where like you as a dentist now get to kind of choose your strategy, right? And talk to everybody. Talk to as many marketers as you can and get as much feedback as possible. That's the way I look at it.
All right. What should dentists do? Thank you for all of that, by the way. It's awesome. What is the one thing dentists should stop doing in regards to their digital marketing, like now, other than posting crappy photos to social media, which we've already discussed?
Stop leasing. I might get some kickback for this. Stop leasing websites that you're paying for SEO on. Okay.
What does that mean?
Everybody's leased websites now. So they don't own their website or the content, right? They pay a very, very small fee. And when they leave that agency, there's no way.
They leave the website.
That's like modifying a car that you leased, right? You're never going to replace the roof on a rental property. Why are you going to spend money building SEO on a website you don't own? Right now, I'll get some kickback here, but I fully believe that. I don't have a problem with leased websites. And
I don't know why you would get kickback. It's ridiculous to do that. I don't know why anybody would do it. The cost to lease a website versus the cost to just build your own website is negligible even there. It doesn't make any sense to get a leased website.
Well, it's
He
because there's
doesn't.
companies out there like, oh, for $200 or $300 a month, you get all this SEO.
All
You get
this stuff.
you
Yeah.
get marketing is running a business for somebody. You
Yeah.
cannot cut corners on marketing costs. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like you're asking somebody to run your business for you. You're asking somebody to basically establish your whole forward facing part of the business.
Yeah.
You don't want to cut corners on it, right? Own your
Yeah.
website. So stop paying to build organic for a website you don't own. You need to stop, doing that backlink building, buying spam backlinks. You
Yeah.
still need backlink building, but
There's not
do it
spammy shit. Yeah.
right. Stop thinking that there's a one size fits all solution for marketing where you can just pay somebody and not have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You, as the practice owner, need to be involved in your marketing. You need to be talking to your marketing company. You need to take that initiative too, right?
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
I don't usually do this, but I want to give you a solid plug on your directory because I was so freaking impressed with what you've built. No shit, like super, super impressed. And the reason I was impressed is because I've spent the last forever building our own directory. It's called the Best Dentist Network, bestdentistnetwork.com. And if I compare it to yours, it's like stupid. Okay. But anyway, so I saw what you built and I'm like, holy shit, this is really, really good. So can you just talk really quick about the structure of your directory, what it does? And for doctors that are watching this, I would highly recommend them taking a serious look at getting in your directory, but just give us a quick spiel on what you've done.
Yeah, so dentistoffices.com, it's a free to join directory. I've always wanted it to be free. Now there are paid options, of course, all different kinds of options, but the whole point is we want to be able to give something to everybody. We're a platform for growth and authority where we plug in, you need to have marketing. We don't take the place of marketing, but it's a boost for you, right? And what we built out was it started, I built it myself, and it actually got deleted the first time.
Really?
So lost an entire server. Yeah, it was a nightmare. And then I had to rebuild it again. But it is a directory that's a little bit different. It's meant to be more hands-on and more than just a directory. We call it a smart directory, where there's engagement on it, where patients can search, and we're integrating now like AI search, so they can just type in what they want to find, and it'll match through our algorithm, which we call Smart Match. And that spits back dentists that are a good fit, where people can say, you know what, I want a woman dentist, or I want a male dentist, or you know what, they might want one that is within a certain religion. People want this stuff and they search, right? So we're allowing that to happen. And same with what makes us a little bit different than all the other directories is we have such a huge amount of data that we've accumulated from the insurance directories. We know who has what insurance or who takes what insurance, who's in network with who. And the goal is to put it into one place, right?
Okay.
We even recently added the ability to like show before and afters on your profile. You can put them right up on there and edit, and you get a slider so the patients can see, and it increases conversion rates. We have scheduling widgets that, allow people to schedule with you that you can actually refine and make it specific to whatever landing page they're on, right? So there's so much to this. And like if somebody signs up for premium, they get their own set of landing pages that we make there. It's like it auto generates like 100 landing pages in the background that are all specific so that we can gain ranking on more keywords. We're doing
cool.
Yeah, there's some cool things.
So one of the things that I tell me if I'm off here, but is it basically like a doctor could sign up for this and they just start getting scheduled patients? Like, isn't that like kind of part of it? It's not like going to Healthgrades and you're finding a doctor, but you're identifying a doctor as a patient. You're identifying a doctor, and then you're just booking the appointment. Is that kind of how the process works?
No, it's they can schedule a request for anybody,
Okay.
right? So that's all moderated. You can choose whether you want it moderated or not, but the request will go to us. And because we have 14,000 people signed up, but I have 150,000 on the platform, right? So not all of them are signed up. So we try to schedule. We send the request forward to the office, and if somebody, for example, let's say they try to schedule with an office who isn't claimed, which is, like I said, free to do. And we don't know where to send that. We'll try to get in contact with the office, but if within 24 hours we don't hear back, it's going to one of our claimed offices.
Yeah. Okay.
So
All right. You send it somewhere
that's why
else.
it's important to
Gotcha.
claim your office on. And
Cool.
yeah, it
I
helps
love it.
and get free patients.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Thank you, Evan. It's been a pleasure, man. Wealth of knowledge. We'll definitely have you back on. And I just want to tell you, I appreciate your all your information and your directness and also the clarity. And I mean, the way that you describe this stuff and explain it is helpful. There's a lot of kind of like just muddled information about digital marketing. And I just really appreciate your clarity and everything that you've done, all of our conversations, what I know about you, super white hat, no trying to game the system. I think that you've built something here that's going to be, you'll be able to do this forever, until you want to sell your company. So I just really am impressed. So thank you.
I appreciate it. And thanks for having me. I mean, I've always said you explain things better than I ever could. But I do appreciate that. I go quick sometimes, but I'm getting there. But I appreciate it. Be happy to come on again. And thanks for having me.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to Bite Size Podcast. Tune in to stay up to date with everything dental AI and tech